Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How about
Oh, I
yourself?
can't hear you.
Ah, hello?
Hello, I can hear you now, loud and
Hi,
clear. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm really good, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Rachel. I'm the GM of marketing for the pay division at Latitude Financial. So lovely to meet you. Thanks for finding the time to come and meet with me and Bill today. And this is Bill La, who's our senior website developer, who, if you come on board, you'll be working with on a regular basis. So yeah, as I said, great to have you here to chat to us today. Thanks very much.
It's nice to meet you as well. Thank you for taking time of your busy day.
Oh, no problem at all. It's always good to meet people and definitely to meet people who are hopefully going to come into our world and make a difference and add a lot of value. So it's great to meet you. So look, I don't pretend to be an expert in your field. I'm here basically to add just a little bit of color and flavor around culture and the team dynamics and kind of, what we're facing into over the next sort of 7 months. But Bill is the expert in this space. And as I say, you'd be working with Bill a lot more than you'll be working with me. So I just thought I might just kick off, if that's all right, by just giving you a little bit of an overview on Latitude and the marketing team and how Bill and I work together, and then maybe hand over to Bill so that he can give you a bit more flavor about the role and what we do, and most importantly, get to know you a little bit more and your skill set. And then I might just come in at the end with a couple of questions around kind of, cultural fit and things like that. My view, and Bill and I haven't done this before, so sorry, Bill, if I'm jumping in, but my view is that we make this a conversation rather than it kind of, be us asking you questions and you holding your questions until the end, but whatever makes you feel comfortable, we can run it however you'd like. Would you like to store them up to the end or have it more as a conversation?
Um, I think a bit of both ways work. I think generally I'll leave it more to the end as I learn more about exactly how the team works, how the company works, how technology works. I have more questions like more down the road as I have more information.
Sounds good. That sounds like a plan. Okay, so I joined Latitude 6 months ago, so I'm still relatively new. What I love about Latitude is the culture. So it's quite unique in that it has the infrastructure and the processes and, to all intents and purposes, the technology, and that comes with positives and challenges of a large organization, a large bank or financial services institution. But at the same time, it also has that kind of side to its culture that I equate with the kind of scale up businesses that I've been working in of late. So it's very entrepreneurial. We're very agile. People ask questions, we get to contribute, and it makes for quite an innovative and fast moving organization. So from that perspective, I think we're really lucky. The pay marketing team actually used to be sat as a central enterprise marketing team. So Latitude's made up of Money, which is the loans business, and then Latitude Pay, which is the credit cards business, which is where Bill and I sit. So as I say, Pay and Money were at an enterprise level from a marketing perspective up until just before I joined, and then we basically moved marketing into the business units, into the business lines, as we felt that all sitting together with our stakeholders, made for a better way of working. Bill and his team did stay central for a bit longer, so they stayed at an enterprise level for a bit longer, but they've recently come into my world. And what I have in my world is basically a life cycle and product marketing team. I have an acquisition marketing team. I'm setting up a partnerships marketing team because we sell direct, but also through partners, and they're retail partners. So Harvey Norman, Amart, JB Hi-Fi, The Good Guys, Officeworks, you name it, they work with us. And then I've also got a creative lab, and I've got the website and digital experience team, which is made up of Bill and his team, and also some digital analytics, a digital analytics team as well. So we're relatively large. So including me and an external media agency who we class as part of our world, we're 31 people in total once we've filled all the roles. But what's most important for me is what we're going to talk about today, which is a core part of our acquisition strategy and customer journey is obviously our website. There's much to do there with a small number of people, which is always the way. And so we need to try and supercharge it a bit. And so from my point of view, you know, and Bill will talk more to you about the tech stack in a moment. But there's some work to be done to get us to more of a self-sufficient state so that the marketing managers can go in and do a little bit themselves with some guardrails. There's also a lot of work to do to kind of bring the website both tech-wise and I think user journey-wise up to spec. But just as importantly, we run about 300 campaigns a year, and the website is a huge piece of that campaign program of work. And so we need to keep facilitating and supporting those campaigns as well. So look, that's just in a nutshell. That's kind of, you know, what we're facing into. It's you know, how we're structured as a team. So I don't know if you had any questions before I hand over to Bill to do the exciting stuff and talk to you about your experience.
No, that's fine. I'll move to Bill. Just like I said,
Okay.
it's just more questions at the end. Right now, it's I'm still learning, like I said, a lot of things.
Yeah, all good. All right, I'll hand over to Bill.
Sure, thanks for that. I will just do a really brief run through the culture of the team as well, because we're a small team and we do have to put out a lot of throughput to support those acquisition campaigns. It means that our operating model is quite informal and supportive as well. It's not the kind of team where, although we're expected to operate independently, that you're just left in the wilderness, like we're just here to back you up and just facilitate you. So, you know, it's always, so that's like the kind of way we like to operate. So it's not a very strict technical environment. Everyone in the team is given the autonomy to choose what's the best technical solution, and quite often it's to push ahead the reuse and efficiencies that we're trying to do. So, you know, the consistency is done through that. In terms of the technology stack, because we're working in a marketing operation, we are working with a static site generator called Gatsby, which runs on React. However, the data integration that feeds that site is more and more, as we continue on our roadmap, being fed by a headless CMS called Contentful.
Yep.
And that's what we're very excited about. Your skill set, Prasad. I like that you've had work in the past of that as well, because the more familiar you are, the more you'll be able to hit the ground running with being able to produce work not just on the static site element of it with your JavaScript skills, but also to deliver it in a way that conforms to how we're getting that speed improvement by integrating our workflow with what we get out of the box with the headless implementation of Contentful. So that's our rough technology stack. Like, we're hosting on Amazon AWS, and we're just running local environments and pushing everything to that classic model of a local staging and production environment. We have a very strict security environment here. So definitely, like, we've got a lot of hardening, a lot of multi-factor authentication to get through our systems, especially with our Git code bases, and with we have our software delivered through pipelines via Buildkite. So we operate with continuous integration running that. So that's how we're going to deploy all our work, and Contentful has its own attached workflow. So that's roughly the kind of the technical solution that we're working with. Yeah, if you don't mind, I might have like a couple of questions around like where you sit with your front end skills. So I like to conduct these as like not terrible gotcha questions. I think these are a preview of the culture we have in the team as well. So it's more about just getting a sense at a bigger picture of how you do things as well, because honestly, I don't believe any developer recalls absolutely everything with 100% precision.
No.
We all sit and Google what we have, you know, and I think these interviews should reflect the same. So having that said, I just got a rough question around different levels of attack from different levels of the tech stack, from the presentation layer all the way down to the application layer. So just like starting at the top, just like roughly as a general CSS skill, only presentation layer, what's the significance of the the important syntax? When's the best time to use it, and when is it a disadvantage to use?
Well, that important syntax, I try to avoid it if possible because it can just overwrite CSS, which I've come across this issue where I've called upon when I was working at Country Road. So when I started initially, I was like, oh, I just need to overwrite a CSS. I just write important, go to quick fix, and then it just overwrites it. But I've also noticed that sometimes it's a weird interaction where it starts overwriting CSS, which should not be even touching each other. So personally, I try to avoid it as much as possible, unless it's like a very hacky fix I need to do. I would do important. Otherwise, I'd rather just avoid it completely.
That aligns exactly with our team's approach. The better the more we stay away from the nuclear codes, the more considerate we
Yeah.
are for other developers. So absolutely.
Oh, that's a
yeah.
pain point. I know that pain point because
Absolutely.
I've dealt with them multiple times. I'm like, no, why is this important? Why I can't change this? Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, just moving further down the stack, in terms of JavaScript coding, like what is one effective tactic you use to minimize memory use when you're creating React components?
So generally I would use Memo, but it depends. Are you on the new React 19? Because that's compiler, so I'm trying to learn to avoid use Memo and use callback actions. So I guess my question to you would be, are you guys using React 18 or React 19 right now, which has the compiler on it? Like the new React, which
We're still on 18
still on
at this
18.
time, but more to the point, when you create an instance of a component, what's a common thing that we can use to optimize memory usage upon the life cycle of that component?
It depends. It depends on how complicated the result is and how many states the component has. So generally, when I make a component, I break it down into subcomponents to make it as so anytime there's a re-render, it doesn't keep re-rendering, doesn't use a lot of memory, or if it does, just a small one. If it's a very complicated end result I need from it, then that's when I would use Memo. And I would use a callback that saves the function and the result in case there's ever a re-render, as to avoid using more memory and to increase performance.
Sure. That's an effective tactic. Thanks for that answer. And lastly, at the application level, I'd like to ask, in your experience of the way that you operate a headless CMS in a website solution, how do you troubleshoot a change that you've already tested on staging, but it's not appearing on production? Like, can you walk me through what your investigation methodology would be if something didn't appear on production?
If something, as in like it's working in testing but no working in production, or it's working in production but I can't see the problem in testing?
Either is actually a quite an illustrative example, but for this particular one, it's the former. So you've gotten something working fine and approved on staging. However, when you go to deploy it, it's not showing up when you're performing your PVT tests. So what would be your general steps in troubleshooting this scenario?
Okay. So it depends. Like I would first of all check if my API keys are correctly set up from testing to production, because one of the things which I, as my own projects, for one of my interview projects which I had this issue where on testing everything worked great, but when I went into production, my API key was not being called, or I had not stored it in the right place. So I generally check the API keys. I check all my code. It really depends on the type of error I'm having or which part of like the problem is not coming up. I would look into that specific area. Say if a component is not specifically working, I'd go through the component to see exactly what it is. But like for me to just say a general idea, I would just go through the general troubleshooting steps. Like one, I would definitely Google. I'd use AI because I started implementing AI, which helps me a lot of my problem solving. I look at the code error which I get when I'm when I'm running it on live itself to see, oh, what's the code error, read through it, understand it, and then put it through Google if I don't. But yeah, again, it really depends on the problem I'm having because I would be like, oh, this could be an API-led issue, or this I probably made some syntax error somewhere which it's not doing, or it's just like maybe the file I've used is not updated, or the version I'm using for Node or any production is not updated in production, or maybe I have the wrong version on my test, which is why it's working. Something could be outdated. Again, it really depends on what the problem is, but I would just generally, that's my general problem solving process.
It sounds like from your answer that you have actually experienced a lot of investigation out in the field. So yes, thanks for that answer. Yeah, I'm pretty happy, Rachel, from my end on like the technical qualification of this chat.
Okay, cool. A couple of questions from me. So if you think about the other places that you've worked in, if you could bring one element of their culture with you to Latitude, assuming that you came into the role, what element of that culture would it be?
Well, it's more of a I learned something when I was working in Country Road. So I don't know if it's like their culture or just something I learned and I built on myself. But I learned it's much better to be a proactive person than to be a reactive person. So, and I like to be efficient. I like to do my work in a way where everyone can rely on me to get the work done. The work is always done before time. And if there's any problem before like near the end time, crunch time, or deadline, I always have a solution in the background for it. I always do all my testing to make sure the error rate, anything is very low. Because I've realized, because I've been in a situation where I had to be reactive and I turned into proactive. I realized it's easier if you have a head start on all the problems, or like if you have a, how should I say this? What's the right word? I guess it's a very crude way of saying it, but less problems, more money.
Mm-hmm.
More problems, less money. So I'm more
Yeah.
like just follow that thing of like, you keep first of all, keep everything simple so everyone understands it. And to always be on top of like be reactive, complete that work beforehand. So then by the time something comes, nothing is left to deadline. Because sometimes that deadline things get added and then maybe the work which you haven't done stacks up on top of it. I've been there in both situations, so I don't know if it's a cultural thing. It's just something which I would like to bring because I will,
Yeah.
and I also realize that it's better to be efficient. If I'm efficient, I know my colleagues can be like, oh, yeah, this guy will get the work done. Less stress for them, they can work better. Less stress for me because I have already set through all like the blueprints. I've all template everything, and I'm like, yep, it's just I can just make everything plug and play. So that's the kind of vibe I would bring. Also, I'm a very laid back and relaxed person as well, so
Yeah.
I'll bring that vibe as well.
Great. And look, we've got a really good bunch of people at Latitude, not only in the team that you'd be joining, but also more broadly. But there's always somebody that's a bit tricky on any given day. How do you deal with tricky stakeholders?
Could you give me an example of trickiness?
Oh, well, trickiness can be that they're over demanding. It can be that that they're, asking you to prioritize their work over somebody else's when there's absolutely no need to do that. So yeah, so it's more about people sort of wanting to get their own way. But I suppose there can be times as well where people don't really understand, the work that you're doing and can get a little bit tricky on that front. And so it's sort of helping them on the journey as well. So yeah, how do you deal with those kind of situations?
Well, generally, if someone, so I'll address the second point and then the first point. So generally, if
Yeah.
someone doesn't understand what I'm doing, I like to explain things. I like to follow the KISS principle, keep it super simple. So when I learn something myself, I teach it to myself as like a 5-year-old. I'm like, I'm a 5-year-old, explain it to me like a 5-year-old. So that way, when someone else asks me to explain it to them, I explain it to them in the same way. And if they don't understand that in one way or the other, I can even simplify. I'm like, hey, this can't work because we don't have the technology or this technological limitation. Keep it really simple. And I've realized this. If you keep communications honestly very simple, everyone understands it. Everyone is very relatable. And as for the
Mhm.
first point, if someone is trying to get their own way, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But I'll still prioritize what's important. And then I'd be like, I won't argue with them. Like I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll look into it. I'll do it. Keep it really, there's no point getting mad over, people.
Mm.
It's just no point. I realize it's like, yeah, I'll do it. And I just move on with my work. And
Okay.
if it's important, I'll discuss with like my manager or like a senior dev or like someone even more senior to understand exactly what how I should prioritize so they can give me better guidance. But
Yeah.
as to the person, I won't say anything. I'm like, yeah, I'll look into it. I'll do it. I'll just do it. And I'll just go from
Okay.
there.
Okay. And based on the brief discussion we've had today and also the job description that was obviously shared with you beforehand, what's the one element of the role that you're least looking forward to?
Um, I I don't really have something like I'm really not looking forward to. I
Mhm.
can't. I have to. I can't just say that from a job description because I don't know before I experience it for
Mm.
myself. Every
Mm.
company is different. Every place is different. So I go in with a fresh mind with like a full reset of like, I have no idea what's happening. Let's go, let's learn, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm not a fan of this, but let's see what we can do, how we can adjust to it. Because I like to think I'm a very adjustable person, like very flexible. I can mend into any environment very easily. So for me, it's not really that big of a deal.
Okay. And obviously you're coming in here on a contract role and you're coming in here because we've obviously got a need for you and we need to get going quite quickly. So what do you do to set yourself up for success when you first join an organization, particularly when you know you've got a finite period of time to get things done and make your mark?
I break my goals down to like smaller achievable goals. I'm like, oh, okay, I've joined an organization. Okay, so let's say first things first, I need to understand the code base. I'll be like, okay, let's go through the code base. Let's see how we do things, and then we work from there. And I just set smaller goals, and I hit those targets. I realize if I think from a perspective like, oh, I'm joining this thing for 6 months. How am I going to do everything 6 months? It's possible I could even do it in 5 months. I just need to like take a step back and be like, okay, let's say I have to do a major rebuild of a page. Let's break it down. Let's break it down by each task. It's like, okay, a page build is 10 tasks. In a day, let's do 5 tasks. And I just go from
Mhm.
there. So that way it just
Mhm.
reduces my friction on of me freaking out, of me trying to underachieve or overachieve. Just be like, focus on my goals, and that's important. Like I have a very grindy mindset. I don't overthink stuff. I'm like, that's the task in hand. Focus on that, and then we'll deal with the next one. So just one step at a
Okay.
time.
Okay. And last but not least from me, before we obviously let you ask us whatever you'd like to ask us, what do you like doing outside of work?
Oh, so outside of work, I'm a very active guy. So recently, I was like around 120 kgs around 2 years ago. So I've just been going to the gym. So I go to the gym every day, boxing,
Oh,
gymming.
amazing.
And then I also, I'm a huge nerd. I love tech, so I'm like always looking at like PC parts to buy, upgrading my
You got a
PC,
buddy there.
playing games, and just hanging out with friends. I have a pretty decent social life, and yeah, I
Yeah.
just like to keep myself busy, out of work, completely
Nice.
separate.
Nice. I'm actually a gaming widow at the moment. My husband's come back into gaming and he hasn't done it for a long time. And I don't know what he plays, I don't ask, but apparently it's been coming to an end. So he's been trying to reach a certain level before it finishes. And then the new one started yesterday. So he's been trying to get into that and get a head start. So there's been great excitement in our household over this game, whatever it is. But yeah, so you could probably swap some stories with him. Okay, no, that's great. Thank you very much. Look, what would you like to ask us? You can ask us anything.
Yeah, so I'm curious, like with the website, once you've migrated to Contentful, is there any plans to like make it um like, because currently I'm playing a lot with 3JS. I'm not sure if you know about 3JS, Bill, like
Yeah.
the 3D modeling. So I was just curious, would you guys ever implement something like that? Like, bring web graphics onto the website and like just showcase some more unique campaign designs, or is that not in the background at all?
So there's two elements to this question. The first is touching on the roadmap, and the second one is like using cutting edge 3D visualization JavaScript frameworks. So the first question is that the Contentful roadmap is in flight. So most of our high traffic pages have been decomposed into a mapping in Contentful. So any work conducted is actually going to be mostly already in Contentful. The second part of that question, we are very, very early on the journey of rich web content. We have some very, very innovative and inspired folks in our design team who are asking us the right questions. Things like, how do we embed video? How do we have interactive designs? I can't honestly say that any of those conversations have asked for 3D Viz, but an important element of this question though is, who is it going to? And in answer to that, our web analytics says that most of our traffic is coming through web, of course it's web, through mobile devices as well. So when I've done Free.js as well, I've had to optimize my,
Oh yeah.
like I do a lot of VR and modeling. So I've had to do a lot of optimization of the 3D models. Like I think if it uses 2GLF files to make 3D objects. So I don't think that that might be too much of a convergence with our target devices, unfortunately, because we have to be inclusive with the technology we use,
Yeah.
and having fancy 3D graphics might exclude, say, folks with potato phones, which we want them to use
Yeah.
Latitude Financial Services with it. So I just want to give you an honest answer. Like it's really great and appealing technology, but we want to be really inclusive of our technology choices and our solutions.
I think as well, we are a financial services organisation, so the look and feel is one aspect to it, but also we've got a heck of a lot of compliance paragraphs and things like that to fit in. And unfortunately that does restrict us, plus our brand as well. So yeah, there are kind of other elements I think on top of what Bill shared with you that mean that we are a little bit more conservative, I suppose, and a bit restricted. But maybe one day we'll get there. Let's see.
Okay. Fair enough. I was just and I guess that answers my next question. I was just kind of curious if there's any specific framework you would like to move into from like React, like from Contentful, because you can also have connection via Next.js. So that's not gonna happen, I'm guessing. Like there's no other frameworks which can get used in the system, correct?
So you've correctly predicted what our roadmap is. What we don't want is to remain in the static site Gatsby world. It is quite effort intensive to push out even a comma in new content, and our end state in our roadmap is to divest from our static site Gatsby based CMS, and we have as of within the last month gone live with our future state Next.js based CMS, which is integrated to the same instance of Contentful, and over time new work ideally will be existing in precisely the technology stack you're describing. So I'm very impressed that you've picked exactly the right question. Exactly the right JavaScript framework that we have selected to proceed in the future with.
Yeah, I was curious because my other question would be like, would you guys ever consider using like SvelteKit, or maybe like the new upcoming remake of React Router remake sort of thing, which is coming right now, or TAN Stack Query, but I'm guessing it's all in Next.js. Like
Sorry.
sorry.
Here, in answer to your question, our current business priority is to get through that quite sizable campaign work we have to get through. However, what you're describing is like platform and speed improvements, which we do actually have an initiative in our sprint to do. That is a consideration we'll have after this current stretch. So for the length of engagement that we're actually considering you for the focus is definitely going to be in the former. So just to help with our throughput as well, and if the engagement continues after that, that is where I expect the roadmap to converge more towards platform improvements and speed improvements. So that's how it kind of hangs together.
Okay. So this is something different. It's something which said on the job description. You said a good understanding of authorization as well. So I'm just curious, what authorization platform does Latitude use? Is it like in-house or something like Better Auth or like Firebase or Firestore? So I'm curious about that.
So our touch points for the projects that we're working on is more that we work as requirements to the member walled sections of the Latitude websites. So the marketing web team, which we'll be working in, is more concerned with the touch points that go into those auth elements. So we won't be directly developing, and within those systems. It's more about having an understanding of what those more secure member locked parts of the website of our website holdings will require from us. There's a small element of marketing web tracking tools that we use that uses like a little bit of session storage control, but nothing to the extent of security-based auth. So yeah, it's more about having a grasp of that so that we can pass through those user flows.
Okay, got it. Last question. Sorry, I know. Just as this is the last question,
That's okay.
I'm someone who likes to learn on myself, continuously improve. So I'd just like to ask, how do you guys think I did in this interview, and what could I improve?
I can speak.
Go for it.
Yeah. I liked that you have shown a preview of how articulate you can be to ask for further details where there's been ambiguity, and I think that is a very, very good success indicator, because I don't know if you've worked a lot in the kind of the marketing aspect of web development, but there's quite a lot of ambiguity as well, and that kind of attitude that you have of showing ownership and clarifying things, and just being brave to ask, like, well, I didn't get all the details, I'm going to just ask for more details, is a valuable non-technical skill that really, really serves in success. So that part really impressed me, and I liked that your the alignment of your technology experience and skills is in good alignment of what we are, and that's potluck. You don't know what a person's past career holds, so I did like that aspect of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, look, I mean, from my perspective, you kept your answers short, which, I mean, look, the thing is, you don't know who you're going to get on the other end of the interview, right? So I'm somebody that, just like to keep things short, sharp, efficient, etc. So, you read the room well with me, which is good. I liked your response about the piece of, another organization's culture that you bring across, because I think, not only does that say a lot about you, but I think it fits really well with our culture as well, which is great. So yeah, look, I mean, we're at the early stages of interviewing. We do have some other candidates that we're going to meet with. We do then want to move on this really, really quickly, because we've got a gap in the team, and we've got some strategic projects that Bill wants to be getting on with. At the moment, he can't, because he's being pulled back into, the kind of BAU, and that's where, you would obviously come in and help support us over the next 6 months. So yes, we will be looking to move really, really quickly. But look, if you think of anything else, please, pass them through the agency that you've come through, and we'd be more than happy to answer. And also, you've obviously got to feel comfortable, joining us if we make an offer. So do let us know if there's anything more you want to know about us.
Sure, definitely. Thank you.
That's great. If there's nothing else, thanks ever so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you very much for your time as well.
Thanks, Prasad.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.